honest truth with Benito Vergotine. Smile 90.4 FM.
Now, the 2021 edition of the Deloitte Annual Millennial and Gen Z Survey, which tracks the concerns and motivations of young people globally, shed light on the uniquely challenging context faced by South African youths and the stresses that they face, including the skills, training and education crisis in the country. Joining us to fill us in a bit more on that, together with the conversation which was recently hosted by Feenix, is Cara-Jean Peterson. She's Student Engagement Manager at Feenix. Cara, good evening and thank you for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Also joining us is third-year BCom student in Information Systems and Management, and he's doing this at Rhodes University, Mncedi Makaula. Mncedi, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Benito. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Cara, if I can start with you, were those challenges that were picked up at the recent Millennial and Gen Z survey, were those some of the talking points that came across at the recent Imbizo, which Feenix had hosted?
Yes, absolutely. It came up. So, to commemorate Youth Day, we wanted to get different stakeholders around the virtual table and really just unpack this concept of social capital, but social capital in a digital age. And so because we're speaking about digitization and you need to acknowledge, the lack of access for some students and how that can impact them and how those who do have access to, whether it's certain technology or Wi-Fi or data, how that puts them in a more advantageous position. So that definitely came up because in our study, pre-lockdown in 2020, the start of 2020, our studies showed that 46% of students were saying they didn't have access to a computer. Now, fast forward into lockdown mode where access to resources on campus is even more limited. You see that students are sitting in a very difficult position and they aren't able to build networks and build relationships face-to-face on campus like they could before. But now it's about how do they use what's available to them to still build those networks that will help them in the future.
Cara, what what is social capital? Just define it for us.
Okay, so the way that we define social capital was really about networks and the value within those networks, the value within that relationship. So people know when we speak about human capital, we think about, these individuals with different sets of skills, different things that they can contribute. But when we speak about social capital, it's more about relationships and that kind of collective. So we wanted to have a conversation, get the different stakeholders like our corporate stakeholders, our civil society, our students like Mncedi, who was on the panel discussion with us, and say, how are we building authentic relationships of value that we are able to contribute to and that are able to contribute to us? Because most of us with the jobs that we're in now, it wasn't necessarily a cold job interview, but maybe we knew someone in the company or we knew someone that got us into an internship. So how do we start leveraging off of those relationships in a meaningful way?
Cara-Jean Peterson is Student Engagement Manager at Feenix, and she joins us in conversation this evening on The Honest Truth. Also joining us is Mncedi Makaula, third-year BCom student at Rhodes University. Mncedi, as Cara had mentioned, you were part of the recent Imbizo, which Feenix had held, looking specifically at social capital. From your point of view, firstly, what have been some of the challenges, and do you see an advantage for improving these networks that Cara refers to?
Yes, Benito. There are challenges that one faces when trying to build their social capital. It's never easy. Some people are shy by nature. Some people are not outgoing. They're scared of crowds and all that, and they're scared to even say hi to the next person. So those are the challenges one has to fight with themselves before they even go out and greet. Another challenge could be you are in the wrong crowd and you just met a mean person. They don't want to start something with you, they want to have a chat with you. So those are things that you face. And now that you're in a lockdown, usually on a normal South African day, you would go on campus, meet friends on a chat group. It was natural. But now it's difficult, as Cara mentioned, that there are a lot of boundaries, a lot of technological errors and everything that's stopping you from meeting new people. So it's a lot difficult now under lockdown as we are doing online learning.
Yes, and what are some of the proposed solutions around circumventing this lockdown challenge? What are some of the discussions highlighted?
On the round table discussion, we didn't really go deep into solutions as to how to do it online. But on a normal day, one would actually volunteer, be a helping hand, read to the next person, and just chat to your lecturer, chat to your people on WhatsApp, and then they're gonna plug you to places, to opportunities, to bursaries, and that's how one can do it. I think with online, it's a matter of which group are you at, and do you have data to actually go and plug in on that Zoom, on that group where you can build your social capital.
And Benito, if I can add to Mncedi's point,
sure.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to get these different stakeholders around the table is to say, how do we as professionals, how do we as corporates and civil society start opening up opportunities for our youth to network and prepare them for, the working world. So we've seen there's different organizations that have converted over to digital. So, for example, say yes, mentoring, and then there's other organizations that originated in the edtech space, like the Knowledge Trust and like Feenix, where it was really about how do we centralize access to resources and create these networks for students to access opportunities beyond their geographical location. So, for example, Mncedi, he's on Feenix, busy fundraising for his tuition at the moment because he's supposed to graduate this year and he still has 16,000 Rand debt outstanding. And so now, even though he can't meet with lecturers and meet with staff in person, we would maybe ask to, assist him financially. He now has this digital platform that he can use to fundraise online. And all of a sudden, someone in Joburg can connect with him who's in, studying at Rhodes University, and it breaks down those barriers, which is really kind of the solutions we're trying to head towards, but also highlighting it that, as we get involved and open up these opportunities to students, we need to be aware of what resources do they also need to participate in that networking.
Okay, yes, certainly becomes a lot clearer, and also how invaluable just the role of partnerships are, Cara, because it would appear that this is the way that one can seriously tackle the digital divide.
Yes, absolutely.
Mncedi, in terms of how that, as Cara had mentioned, in terms of some of the other areas where students feel that they could benefit by with more assistance, what are some of the areas you think that you think could assist you in further cementing these social networks that you've come across with some of the students that you've discussed with?
You're cutting a minute. Could you please repeat your question, please?
What other areas do you think can help you and some of your other fellow students improve the social capital? What are some of the resources? What are some of the areas you think that can further assist you?
Online, I think the Great Star app is doing very well in helping people connect with their potential employers with bursaries. I think it's a matter of browsing on the internet, on social media. LinkedIn is also a great platform where you can meet great people, great opportunities. So you just need to be involved in these things. Yeah. And also, as Cara mentioned, Feenix, you can choose to volunteer and be a Feenix ambassador. You get exposed to a lot of things, just like how I am here. I got into being a Feenix ambassador.
Okay, and do you think, because now you're in your third year, and as Cara had mentioned, you're almost nearing the end in terms of your graduation, but what sort of support did you have in your first year at Rhodes University, and when did you hook up with Feenix?
So at Rhodes University, firstly, when you come in as a first year, you go through a whole week of orientation. They expose you to all different sectors of the university for academic purposes and for community engagement purposes. So I took part. I was part of community engagement project that happens throughout the year, every year. So I was a tutor at one of high schools in the township here in Grahamstown. So that's how I started to be part of people, to know people, not only the school that I'm at, which is Rhodes University. So I was exposed to social capital like that, being part of the community engagement program here at Rhodes in first year.
And it's an important skill, I think, one has to build those networks. I mean, Cara, do you have any message of encouragement for students?
Yes, I think, I think it's easy for students to become despondent because of what's happening with lockdown and because the barriers are so predominant. But I think it's really to also look at how are we as youth being resilient, because we've seen so many students emerge out of the situation and our circumstances victorious, because it was how do they problem solve around it, how do they get creative about it. And we've seen students use social media as a way to intentionally connect with one another. We've seen students start their own non-profit organizations, tutoring other students via WhatsApp to say, you know what, yes, we know our resources are limited, but we are going to stand in this free Wi-Fi zone at the shopping mall so that they can connect with high school learners and tutor them via WhatsApp. And that's how they build their interpersonal skills, they build their professional skills, they set them up for success in future. And so we really just want to encourage our youth. There's so much value in them and they are so investment worthy, and to not lose sight of that end goal in the future that they want to create for themselves, but get creative about how to connect with others, be intentional about it, and be authentic about it, because it's not about abusing relationships, but it's also about what can you give and what can you get? How do you benefit one another, and really build that kind of a solid foundation? So we really just want to let students know that we are backing them, we are supporting them, and if anyone wants to know more about social capital, it is on our YouTube channel. The whole Imbizo is there. If you guys want to pop us a message, either, asking how do you get involved with Feenix, or how do you provide opportunities for students. So if you're a student and you want to know where to go, what resources to connect to, pop us a message on our Facebook page, and we can always just take the conversation further.
Some wonderful phrasings there, Cara. Investment worthy, and certainly one doesn't need to get despondent, because there's so much potential for the youth, and they have that, as you mentioned. Be authentic. Mncedi, from your point of view, what advice would you have for some of your more younger counterparts entering tertiary?
I think that the only thing they need to understand is they need to understand themselves. They need to know who they are before they can go and present themselves to other people or to the next person. And then once they are out there, they just need to take every opportunity that comes their way. You never know. It might help you. It might not help you. The only way to find out is to actually do that and take part in whatever program that's given to you at your entry of university.
Yeah, absolutely. Involve yourself in every single possible aspect. Mncedi Makahula, third year BCom student in Information Systems and Management at Rhodes University. Thank you so much, Mncedi, for joining us, and all of the best for the completion of your degree. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for hosting this.
It's an absolute pleasure, and a huge thank you as well to Cara-Jean Peterson. She's a student engagement manager at Feenix. Cara, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benito. It's such a pleasure.
Smile 90.4 FM.
Smile 90.